Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
You could be driving a Honda.
Improved from the front grille to the tailgate and equipped to take you on the adventure of a lifetime, the ride is just different in this new Pilot seat. Come see the all-new 2023 Honda Pilot, now on sale at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements. And that's where Dignity Memorial can help. Our prepaid funeral plans make sure that your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. At Dignity Memorial, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee Serio at 225-315-6329. That's 315-6329. Dignity Memorial, the peace of mind your family deserves.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Welcome as we start a new week of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your little slice of South Louisiana heaven since the last time we had to spend a little time with you and yours at the end of last week. We start today's show with Louisiana news and the fact that the heat continues unabated. It is absolutely brutal out of doors, and today is shaping up to be more of the same. Now, listen, y'all, this is not a first for South Louisiana. We know every year, this time of year, what to expect, albeit it's ramped up a notch or two this year. It goes without saying, the most vulnerable among us, particularly our seniors, now is the time for you to show your concern for your fellow man, your neighbors, your community members, by checking on these folks to be sure that they are staying hydrated and they are staying in the air conditioning. It is absolutely brutal. Went through an episode last week, drive home, car is giving me all sorts of problems, and trust me when I say this, y'all, there is nothing worse than only being able to drive 35, 40 miles an hour all the way home with no air conditioning. Absolutely brutal. And speaking of weather, if you've been keeping an eye, as I'm sure you have as a Louisianian this time of year, you know that the tropics have been unusually active. I don't want to jinx us, and I certainly am not going to pretend to be an expert meteorologist, but it does not bode well for this hurricane season, the inordinate amount of heat that we've had. As you well know, as a Louisianian, warmer water tends to strengthen storms. And the last thing we need is a repeat of what we've been through in recent memory. It is part and parcel for living where we live, choosing, I should have said, to live where we live. And now is the time to start making those preparations. As a matter of fact, Tropical Storm Brett is expected to become the season's first hurricane as it continues on toward the Lesser Antilles. Once it reaches the Caribbean, traditional wisdom says there may be some weakening there, but the good news is we still have plenty of time to keep an eye on it and figure that out. Unfortunately, right behind Brett, two other systems that the National Hurricane Center think are likely to become tropical depressions or even greater. Right now, odds at the development stand at 70% as of 1 o'clock this morning. Again, word to the wise should be enough to be sufficient. We've been through this God knows how many times. We go through it every year. So it's not as though, this is a big surprise all of a sudden. In other Louisiana news, it is now officially law. Governor John Bel Edwards signing into law a bill passed by the legislature recently in response to the ever-expanding phenomenon, for lack of a better word, of drive-by shootings in our state. It has become something that probably happens in every state in the union. And unfortunately, in our state, in recent memory, they've seemed to increase exponentially. In response to that, State Senator Jimmy Harris sponsored a bill, and I think Representative C. Denise Marcel may have co-sponsored this legislation as well, to increase penalties of a drive-by shooting. Prior to Governor John Bel Edwards signing this into law, prison sentences ranged from 1 to 5 years in prison. As a result of this now being signed into law, that penalty increases from 3 to 10 years in prison. Now, I know for a fact, none of my people watching right now know anybody that would commit a drive-by shooting. But if by chance there's some of Ahmadi's people watching right now, you need to know, if you are convicted, it's no longer 1 to 5. That additional penalty is 3 to 10 years on top of whatever other charges and time you may be facing. How many times have you heard me say over the years, y'all, when you fail to govern yourself, you consent, in essence, to be governed. And this is as classic an example as you will ever find. It's truly a sad commentary that it would come to this, but in the interest of public safety, in the interest of justice, if this is what it takes, so be it. So be it. When all is said and done, this is another of those things where we have no one to blame but ourselves. Had individuals had more thought in the process, cared more about the sanctity of someone else's life, we could have used that time in the legislative session debating something else. But instead, we had to have our lawmakers up the penalty for idiots who think, apparently, it's okay to produce a weapon and fire randomly at people while driving down whatever highway. And by the way, this also includes federal highways like the interstate. You may be thinking, well, it was the Louisiana legislature. It's probably only Louisiana roads where they increased the penalties. You would be dead wrong, friend. You would be 100% incorrect. Any road that goes through Louisiana, state, local, federal, the penalties now for a drive-by shooting have gone up exponentially. Personally, I would have liked to see them get even steeper, but that's just me. Pardon me for wanting individuals in the pursuit of justice to throw the book at folks with such callous disregard for the health, safety, and well-being of other people. But that's just me. Finally, in Louisiana news, this story really leaves you shaking your head. We have, speaking of things we've seen, troubling trends develop over recent years. This one certainly falls into that category. Here in Baton Rouge, according to law enforcement, a local school administrator has been arrested and accused of sending inappropriate messages to teenage female students at his school. At last check, $785,000 was the latest bond, as charges continue to be racked up by the former second in command at Second Chance Academy. Corey Nash, ironically, was accused back in 1996 of an inappropriate relationship with a female student. Quick math, 96, 27 years ago. This is not the only case, mind you. And it is hard for me to fathom, understanding the presumption of innocence. He is alleged to have done these things. But when you look at the span of time involved here, it makes you wonder truly how long this stuff has actually been going on, who knew about it, and what measures were taken to cover it up. Tip of the hat, by the way, to the latest parent of the 14-year-old, the latest victim, that came forward after she found out what had been going on between her daughter and Corey Nash, and bringing it to the public's opinion, bringing it rather to the public's attention. You've got to know, most times individuals engaged in behavior of this sort get away with all sorts of things before it finally comes to light. So conventional wisdom would say there are some other victims out there. If by chance you happen to know of someone who's been victimized by this individual, Crime Stoppers would love nothing more than to hear from you. 344-STOP. That's the number to call. 344-STOP. Justice demands that you do the right thing. I'll leave it at that. First break of today's show. When we come back, well, we got a couple doozies for you. Tuesday, second segment, time for another illustrious edition of Now That's Just Stupid. That's next when we continue the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Bud Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin Gallagher. This is Roy Fletcher. We hope you'll join us for Fletch Nation, especially if you like talking politics.
Hey, come and join us. We'll give you the information, and then we'll give you the context. And by the way, we'll give you fun too.
Lots of fun. We hit the local races, the state. We even look at what's going on all across America. And by the way, this space is available. If you'd like to talk about advertising, send your emails to Roy Fletcher at royfletcher.com and join us every week here on the Pelican for Fletch Nation.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
You could be driving
Smooth handling and smart interior styling. Just two reasons why the all-new Honda CR-V was once again named a Car and Driver's 10 Best Trucks and SUV list. Come see your new CR-V today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Hi gang, Clarence Bugs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bugs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Bugs Show. You know, people with common sense, and yes, I understand it's not all that common anymore, but regardless, many of us wonder how far our country and this world, for that matter, are going to allow stupid to go. In response to the ever-increasing level of stupidity in America and the world at large, we've instituted a new segment entitled, "Now That's Just Stupid." But notice, we're not talking regular, ordinary, S-T-U-P-I-D. No, Amy, we had to come up with a new word with its own spelling to describe the level of stupid that we're talking about here. Hence, the graphic, S-T-O-O-P-I-D. We start with NPR, National Propaganda Radio. I'm sorry, National Public Radio. Actually, I was right the first time. This past weekend, we celebrated fathers. The men who put everything else on hold to raise their families, the men who made sacrifices to teach their children values, patriotism, love of family, so on and so forth. So, in celebrating Father's Day, National Propaganda Radio ran a story about a trans father, a woman who thinks she's a man, who recently had 2 children. Now, I don't know about you, but when you have a child grow inside your body, that child is then delivered full term. You're a woman. How in God's name have we allowed this sort of insanity to get a hold in our country? Listen, y'all, I understand. I started all of this by saying common sense, it's not all that common anymore. But this is totally and completely beyond this ad nauseum. For NPR to run this piece, and every single time they referenced this woman, they said he has 2 children. He was pregnant. He. When obviously it's a woman. It's not a he. And these people, NPR, are able to do what they do because they receive government funding. Let me say that another way. They get your money to do this. STOOPID. You know, I guess it really shouldn't be that big a surprise to go from NPR to the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. They are, at the ACLU, been all out of shape over the recent execution of Dwayne Owen. If you're not familiar with the case, here's a little bit of background. Dwayne Owen was convicted of raping and murdering a 14-year-old babysitter and a 38-year-old mother of 2. 2 rapes, 2 murders, one of which was a minor. The ACLU is all bent out of shape, not because he was executed. The ACLU was upset because after being convicted and locked up and sentenced to death, Dwayne Owen decided, you know what? I'm a woman. And I want the American tax-paying public to put up the money for me to have sex change surgery while in prison and before I die. So the ACLU, let me get this straight, is upset because the government didn't take more of your tax dollars, chop off his male genitalia, and then kill him. Like I said, y'all, you can't make this stuff up. What freaking difference would it make whether or not he got to chop off whatever before going to lethal injection? What? And this is what they're upset about? You know, in the hood where I come from, the natural response would be, really, bruh? Really, bruh? This is what you upset about? Of all the stuff you could be angry about, this? Y'all gonna think I'm cruel for saying this, but that's okay. Because a lot of y'all feel the same way. If they're that upset about it, they could have slipped him a razor blade the day before. They hooked him up to the IV, and that would have solved that problem. Cut it off. But you want the tax-paying public to pick up the bill for this before we kill him. You know, as frustrating as it is nowadays to look at liberals and the stuff they do, what's even worse is trying to imagine if we don't step up and stop this foolishness now, what is it going to be like for the rest of our children's lives and our grandchildren's lives? For those of you that think, well, it'll sort itself out, look at from whence we have come to where we are now, and try to imagine what it's going to be like if we don't stop this crap now. Try to imagine what it's going to be like 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Not a pretty picture, is it? It's amazing how the life experience is such that people will tell you things, but it's not until later in life that it really becomes crystal clear. The epiphany doesn't happen at that moment. It typically takes a while. But I will be the first to acknowledge Malcolm X knew what he was talking about when he said famously, the white liberal is the greatest threat to this country and the greatest threat to the black man, bar none. Boom. Bottom of the hour break. When we come back, the elephant in the room. And it's getting louder. That's next. When we continue the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Come see the all-new Mazda CX-90, now on sale at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, I would venture a guess that there are countless people watching right now who've been through or know someone who's been through a situation where everybody in the family knew something's wrong with this family member. There's never really been a big confab. There's never really been a big family meeting where all of the immediate family members get together and hash out what we're going to do about this family member that obviously has some serious problems. We all know a family, if not our own family, that's had one family member that will say or do something at any moment that leaves every single member of the family scratching their heads. We've all either been there or know someone who's been there. That is where we are right now as the family of America and President Joe Biden. The progression of his mental malfunctions is on display for all the world to see. It is at the point now where we can no longer try to laugh it off. It's at the point now where we can no longer laugh this off. Last week, the leader of the free world, President Biden, delivering an address on gun control. And at the end of his speech, he says, and I quote, "God save the Queen, man." Now, unlike some people, I paid attention in school during American history, world history, civics. I paid attention. So I know that even if you are a lover of the crown, the monarchy, the royal family, even if you're a fan, you know how disrespectful it would be to say, "God save the Queen, man." But on top of that, no self-respecting American should ever utter that phrase, "God save the Queen." To show you how we felt about the Queen, the crown, the monarchy, if you have kids in the room, cover their ears in 3, 2, 1. That's why we whipped the crown's ass and formed our own country, because we didn't believe in one person or one royal family making a decree, and we had to obey it. So for an American of all people to say, "God bless the Queen," much less the leader of the freaking free world, is disgusting. Now, bless his little old heart, he probably didn't see anything wrong with it. God save the Queen, man. We as Americans don't roll that way. I'm sorry, I didn't let y'all know. In the hood, that's what we would say. We don't roll like that, dog. The monarchy, the crown, not to mention the fact that the freaking Queen died in 2022. But leave it to a Democrat to put sugar honey iced tea on top of a you-know-what sundae. Wasn't bad enough that he said what he said. But you do realize, do you not, the group of people that it is most insulting to? God save the Queen, man. The people that this insults the most are the most loyal members of the Democrat Party. Black folks. Well, Clarence, how can you say that? I'm glad you asked that question. When we were subjects, which is what we were before we whipped the Queen's you-know-what. We were British subjects. When we were just colonists, the Queen that Joe Biden wants God to save man, the Queen had no problem with you owning black folks as property or pets. The crown, the royal family, the monarchy had no problem with black folks being somebody's property. And you would dare get up talking about God save the Queen? Meanwhile, later in the week, Joe Biden comes out and says, we have plans to build a railroad across the Pacific Ocean to and across the Indian Ocean. Really? The same guy who wants to get rid of every internal combustion engine on the planet apparently has figured out how to make a battery-powered train to traverse not one, but two entire oceans. And this guy is the leader of the free world. You know, there's been a lot of conversation, consternation, prognostication on whether or not Kamala Harris was Joe Biden's insurance policy. The rationale being, Joe Biden can screw up all sorts of stuff. He can just make an absolute mess out of America's affairs, both domestic and foreign, and we will be scared to death of the alternative, Kamala Harris. I will leave to you to decide how much merit there is to that rationale, that way of thinking. But the fact of the matter is, my fellow Americans, when we arrive at a point where the President of the United States says, God bless the Queen, man, we're in trouble, y'all. We are past the point of laughing off, when it's just family, Uncle Bubba's ailments. We're past that, y'all. And if we don't do something soon, we will have no one to blame but ourselves. We have the guy leading this country that thinks it's okay. There's nothing wrong with saying, God bless the Queen. We've got a guy who thinks we've got plans to build a railroad across 2 entire oceans while preaching about environmentally friendly engines and ecosystems. Of course, now, this is what they do. This is the same administration, the same political party that went off and left $800 million worth of guns in the hands of terrorists in Afghanistan, but then you turn around and preach to me about gun control. You took $800 million of our tax dollars, bought weapons of war, went off and left it in the hands of people who hate us. And now you're going to turn around and preach to me about gun control? You and the horse you rode in here on. America, we better wake up, y'all. Because if you don't, by the time you do, what has been shed for the future of this country, what has been sacrificed for our children's future, will all be gone just like that. Oh, Clarence, you just being dramatic. We just had a president, y'all, say, God bless the Queen. Queen who's been dead since last year. A queen who had no problem with black folks being owned as slaves. The monarchy, they didn't stop it. When we whooped the Queen's behind and became our own country, the good people of this country fought a war amongst themselves so that people that looked like me could be free, not the Queen. God saved the Queen. To hell with the Queen. Yeah, I said it. I said it, and I stand by it. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and we wrap up the Tuesday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close. Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements. And that's where Dignity Memorial can help. Our prepaid funeral plans make sure that your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. At Dignity Memorial, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or Gretchen Serio at 225-315-6329. That's 315-6329. Dignity Memorial, for the peace of mind you deserve.
Every great story starts with the rush of thrilling gaming action. Handcrafted flavors, eager to please. Getaways for some well-deserved me time. And rewards worth bragging about. If it's a story worth telling, it starts at La Berge Baton Rouge. What's your story?
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. If you tuned in at the last minute of the last segment, let me make something perfectly clear here. As an individual, I have no problem with the Queen. But the policies of the monarchy and the royal family, as a man of color, you already know how I feel. I just want you to understand the context here. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's move on. Final segment. Coming soon to a school near you. Have you heard this one? Teacher in the UK. And a lot of times this is how it starts. Something takes root overseas. Next thing you know, it immigrates, and before you know it, it's all the rage in America. Well, recently, in a school classroom, a discussion was held on whether or not a person can identify as another member of the animal kingdom. The teacher insisting that if a person thinks that they're a cat, then they can be a cat. And the students, 8th graders, were like, no, bro, we ain't buying that one, I'm sorry. The teacher got flat out indignant. How dare you, quote unquote, hurt somebody's feelings? The teacher went on to say that she was going to report the students to the headmaster and see what could be done to, quote, re-educate these students. You ever notice how those who preach diversity, inclusion, all of this crap, they're the ones that exhibit the least of it. You ever notice that? Now, it's fine as long as your opinion is just like theirs. But the minute you think differently from them, well, you're not being inclusive. Forgive me for paying attention in English class, but the root word inclusion means to include all, dissenting opinions included. That is what makes our representative republic, not our democracy. Y'all forgive me if you ever get in a conversation with Clarence and you start talking about our democracy. Forgive me if I just walk off or slap you in the mouth, because we are not a democracy. Get that straight. At some point, y'all, we have to reclaim what made this country great. Listen, y'all, my entire life, I have despised David Duke. I despise what he is about. I despise what he stands for. But my little narrow black behind will be the first one in line to fight for his right to say the stuff that I cannot stand. Why? Because when it's my turn, I want to be heard. I have no problem debating the likes of a David Duke, because my argument will stand on its own merit. I know the fallacies of people like David Duke. I will debate him anywhere, anytime, for any amount of time. I will also defend his right to spew the garbage that he does. Why? Because he's an American, and that's how we roll. Just because it's uncomfortable, just because it is a different opinion from yours, doesn't matter. It's an American's opinion. And that, my friends, is what makes us better than everybody else. End of discussion. My time's up, and I gotta go. But you already know the drill. This day, probably more so than any other day in the history of this country, I give it to you. You know what? You're right. America, we are not perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. You know the good Lord loves you, and you know I do too. You also know there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. See you soon. God bless.